Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today I want to talk about Solana because I feel like we've, especially as other coins and whatnot have started moving over the past couple days and maybe even weeks for some of them, I feel like maybe the market has started to lose a little bit of sight of like just how bullish and just how strong Solana is looking. And so I want to do a little bit of like a quick update, talking about Solana, talking about kind of what's new with Solana, all that type of stuff, and really talking and kind of refocusing on kind of the core value of Solana and just how amazing a lot of these metrics look. And so that's what I wanted to get into today. But before we do that, let's check out the crypto bubbles just to see kind of how the overall crypto market is doing. So what we can see here, couple up, relatively large on the day, but overall I would say the market has more down than up. It's just the ones that are up are up pretty large overall. And so, the market looking decent overall, still relatively stable. We've seen the market kind of stutter a little bit over the past week, maybe 10 days, just because people are starting to get a little bit overly bearish, if you ask me. I think people are maybe a little bit drunk off all the gains that they saw in such a short period of time. The fact that we are having a little bit of a cool off period like this, in my opinion, is really, really good news. Whenever we see such a strong move to the upside, having a little bit of a cool down period like this, in my opinion, is very, very healthy for the overall market. And so the fact that we're kind of starting to see some level of choppiness up at the top and not immediately dropping, 20% or 30% or 40%, that's really good news. And so I think people are starting to kind of overlook that a little bit. And so seeing stuff like this happening, not too big of a deal overall, if you ask me. Now, looking at the Solana chart specifically, there's a couple things that we can see happening recently. Obviously, we actually breached all-time highs ever so slightly. Just barely. But then since then, we've come down a little bit. We've come back down kind of to the mean line of the Bollinger Bands. And so we can see, kind of came down to it here, bounced off it here, and now it looks like we might be coming back down to that line at this point. Haven't really quite made it there yet, but we are kind of getting close. You can see about $6 off. We need to come down about another $6 for that. We can see RSI has recovered, so we are no longer sitting in the overbought range. We've kind of recovered back to, we're still in kind of the strong area, but have kind of come back within the area of not being overextended one way or the other, which is good. So we can also see that we did break out of the previous highs that we saw back kind of in March, when we saw, I would say, maybe a little bit of a mini alt season. We have broken above that. We're staying above it pretty comfortably at this point. I do think if we there's a possibility, and maybe even a likelihood, that we come back down to this level of support and maybe even kind of put in some volume down here. Obviously, we're not really even close to that yet. We've held up pretty high. Like I've been saying, we've seen this massive push to the upside and then really no correction on the back end as a recovery period. And so what we're seeing here is pretty remarkable, at least from my opinion of what we've seen recently. You can see here, we come up and basically give all of those gains back and more, depending on if you get liquidated on the wick. Go over here, come up, basically give, a decent chunk of the gains back. You can see down here, not all the gains, but this is the type of move up that we usually see. You go up 100, come down 70, you're still up 30, but you're not where you were at the high, right? This has been pretty common overall. And so the fact that we've seen such a strong and sustained move to the upside with almost no downside on the back end of it is really, really encouraging. And so this is something I would say just make sure we're keeping in mind. This is overall, really good news. We can see on the volume has kind of tapered a little bit on Solana, not holding up to the level that we would like, but also price has done really well. So while volume does help, I do think there are enough bullish indicators and bullish factors sitting in the Solana ecosystem that volume matters less than it might in some of these other particularly smaller coins. But we can see things looking really, really good for Solana overall. The other thing is we have broken all-time high in price. We did break all-time high in market cap, I believe, back when we kind of made this run up. So all-time highs broken everywhere on Solana, which is really good. Things looking good there. If you are wanting to trade Solana or anything else for that matter, feel free to use my BTCC link in the description below. I am partnered with them for the month of November. Only a couple days left on this offer that we have. It's 10% bonus on first-time deposits. So it's a really, really, really nice offer. And this is in addition to the extra bonuses of up to $10,055 that you can earn. So pretty strong, a pretty strong offer here if this is something where you guys are looking to find a new exchange or or just an exchange at all. Really great place to do so. They've been around for 13 years, probably longer than most of us at this point. 300 plus crypto futures, so they've got a ton of different options there, up to 500x leverage. I don't personally recommend 500x leverage, but if you want to do that, then go ahead, I guess. And then no VPN or KYC necessary, which is another really nice offer there. So if you are interested, feel free to check the link in the description. Another thing that they do that I think is kind of cool and I like is you can see that they actually have tokenized stocks and commodities. So if you are wanting to trade some more like traditional equities, BTCC is a fantastic place to do that because you're still kind of exposed and within the crypto ecosystem, but you are also be able to trade some of those more like traditional equities. So if you are interested, feel free to check the link in the description below. Now, moving on, I want to talk a little bit more about what we're seeing within the Solana ecosystem, because obviously price has done really well. We've seen it kind of move really quite well, but I want to take a look at the Solana ecosystem because I feel like the developments that we've seen, and I don't even know if this is really much of a controversial claim to make, but I think the developments that we've seen in the Solana ecosystem over the past, I would say years specifically, are really what has kind of led to this type of recovery. Obviously, the price in the depths of the bear market, I mean, Solana got absolutely crushed from what it saw in 2021. And so I think a lot of that price recovery was primarily on the developments that we had seen coming out of the Solana ecosystem. They were speeding up block times, they were increasing capacity, there are new projects, most importantly, either building or converting to like moving to Solana. I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff that happened that kind of brought this up. And so if we look at DeFi Llama, we can see almost $9 billion of total value locked. We actually have not come back to all-time highs that we saw in 2021, where they did actually break $10 billion of total volume locked. But it's kind of interesting because at this point in time, the volume on the Solana ecosystem was almost nothing, which is pretty funny because now we can see that the volume on the Solana ecosystem is blown up majorly. And so it's good to see that, even though we haven't returned to previous all-time highs in terms of total value locked, we can see here, like, there's so many stats to back up kind of where we're at currently and all of the like good things and interesting things that are building on the Solana ecosystem. And so what we can see here also, the stablecoin market cap, there's actually a massive stablecoin market cap. We only have data going back to about early to mid 2022, but we can see tons of stablecoins on Solana. But we can see, as we started to have that like FTX scare and a lot of that type of stuff, the stablecoin market cap on Solana just completely cratered. But since then, it actually has kind of started climbing its way back up. We have seen, not all-time highs, because obviously all-time highs were back here, but we have seen, continued rises with highs of stablecoins being now in the 4.5 to 4.6 billion range. So definitely a decent bit of stablecoin activity coming back to Solana. Obviously, we saw that slump, and we haven't really seen highs kind of breached here on several different metrics, but it's looking a lot better. It's looking a lot more healthy. It's looking a lot more sustainable. There's less speculation here. I think it's very fair to say in this first cycle, Solana was almost entirely speculation. Obviously, that if you would have held, that's actually kind of panned out and worked out long term. But there was a ton of blood and a ton of like pain back in between these periods. And so overall, though, I think we can say, the recovery has looked relatively nice. So things looking really strong in the Solana ecosystem. This is the thing that I think people forget is, there's sometimes people say, oh, well, we're just recently coming back to or breaching all-time highs, right? But it's like, look at where we are breaching these new all-time highs. To me, this is just so much more stable and like fundamentally sound than what we saw last time. And so I think the way kind of this move up for Solana is going to be, one, a lot better, and two, a lot more stable, right? Like, I don't think we're going to see a 99% drop on the back end of it or whatever, right? Like, yeah, sure, we might see 40, 50, 60, 70% drops, but I don't think we're going to be seeing one of those 90, 95+% drops. I think Solana is built a little bit more solidly than that. Obviously, this is not financial advice because I definitely could be wrong. There's no guarantees what's going to happen. If there's, a FTX 2.0 type of thing going on, then obviously, that might change things. But overall, like, I'm much more comfortable and much more confident about the state of Solana right now than at basically any other point in history. And so, things are looking really good. Obviously, getting into Solana about a year ago would have been fantastic. But just given where we're at right now, like, even though the price has gone so crazy, it still doesn't necessarily look like a bad price, at least to me personally. You obviously have to go make your own decision on that. But hopefully you found the information in this video. If you did, please do give me a like and subscribe, because it really does help me out, especially getting pushed further into the YouTube algorithm and all that type of good stuff. If you have any comments, questions, anything like that, just feel free to drop them in the comment section below, because I do try to read and respond to all of those. And so if you have anything you want me to see, that'd probably be a pretty good way to do it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.